Welcome. You are at the CCC,
where there are no outside issues. My name's Anthony. I'm an addict and an alcoholic, another bozo on the bus, and I care about you.
And I'm LouiLou. My pronouns are he and him. I'm in recovery for crystal meth and alcohol, and I'm always in search of balance. Yes, and each week we strive to foster a brave space where we can engage in conversations centered around topics of recovery.
And our intention is to hold and inspire better spaces for more people in recovery by tackling issues sometimes used to separate us.
Absolutely. But before we do that, please like, share, and
subscribe, ding that bell, comment.
Do whatever you got to do.
Whatever you got to do. Yeah, just do nice things. We have a new person who's steering the ship today.
Yeah, he's doing a good job.
I was getting ready to talk shit because I was like, man, the music is still going on too long.
It's just the music. The music used to be a lot longer.
You think so?
No. Trust me. Before you started to use, yeah.
Oh, you're saying it used to be a lot longer. I thought you said it should be a lot longer.
Yeah.
And now the disclaimer, the thoughts and opinions expressed on at the CCC are ours alone. We do not represent anyone but ourselves. The information and thoughts shared here are for general information purposes only. In other words, we're just a couple of friends behind a mic here to entertain you.
Yeah. Back to what we were saying. What used to happen is we used to wait till the music stopped, and then we would introduce ourselves.
Oh, wow.
And it was really a super long intro. And then one of the suggestions was, you know what? You need to do that like right off. You know?
Yeah, you guys used to have like a full like opening credits.
We had
video.
opening credits, exactly. We used
and
to
like
do
a video and everything.
We used to do the yeah, that was, and it was cringe every time. I'd be sitting there watching, like, oh yeah, okay, not this again.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is that it was very visual early on.
Yeah.
Right. And now we're more audio, obviously, but we do the recordings.
And that's how initially when I started, I didn't think about the possibility of videoing. Because the podcast that I did before, it was just an audio podcast.
Right.
Yeah. So how are you doing?
You know, a couple things come to mind. So I'm doing really good.
Okay.
So I started doing this class with Kaiser for insomnia. You are not playing on your phone while I'm talking to you. I
turned it off.
You literally you were just on TikTok.
No,
You asked me a question and then you turn to your phone and completely shut me out.
I feel like I'm. What's going on here?
I feel like I'm talking to my dad.
Okay, go ahead.
I start crying. So I started taking this insomnia class, and I'm like, oh, this isn't gonna help, And I took my first class, and it was actually really helpful. It was really helpful. I got like the most sleep I've gotten in like weeks, months, possibly last night. Which is thank you, Jordan.
What is it like? They show you a special way to count sheep. Yeah, I can tell depending on how long that laugh goes that he's not feeling it.
No, that's not true. But I thought that was really funny. Yeah. It's a lot of things. The thing that was really helpful for me was they talk about time asleep versus time in bed, and that the discrepancy between those things shouldn't be too high. So exactly. You shouldn't be spending a lot of time in bed and then like.
Especially not reading or doing certain things.
And so like, for example, last night, the second I went in bed, I'm like, all right, the goal here is just to fall asleep. I'm not going to like be on my phone for too long, although I shouldn't have been on my phone, but I was. And then when I woke up in the morning, I like didn't reach for my phone. I like said my prayers and then I got out of bed and then I was like, oh, wow.
When I wake up, when I open my eyes, my phone is in my hand and I'm already scrolling on TikTok.
Right. I mean, it's so easy. Oh my God. It's like one of my favorite things to do is just to sit there and read
Especially
the news.
Now because I'm all excited about
Kamala. Yeah. I get that.
You know what's interesting? It's like, how if I can't sleep, I just rub one out.
Is that right?
Yeah. And that usually helps me.
Since we're going there, that doesn't work for me because it's like eating a chip, Well,
the problem with you is like, come on, you can't eat just one chip.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not snack, it's snacks.
It's snacks.
I think that's lovely.
Yeah. So, but I'm doing great. Today was a very nice day.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. Today was busy at work. Like it was busy with customers, but I had a lot of product to merchandise and put away and whatever. And I have Monday and Tuesdays off. So when I go back in, it's usually a matter of like, because I'm such a Virgo, cleaning up the messes that were left.
I think on every episode, you tell us you're a Virgo at least once.
Well, hey, it's almost like it used to be with like, and my partner, my boo. It's like, we all have our things.
I walked
Get off
right
my
into
case,
that.
okay?
I walked right into that.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
That's like Trump complaining about somebody being sexual.
Not you equating me to Trump. Oh my God.
You're bigly and who'd you? No. I love that. It's like you are nothing like Trump. It's like I would not even be on this podcast with you.
I didn't take whatever. It's fine. So do you want to introduce the topic?
Yeah. So the topic today, it has been nuanced. We said, but what we landed on was it's like doing the work and what that means.
Doing the work. That's like, obviously it's the start of the month. So we're just talking about like our own thoughts on what it means to do the work. But we'll have people coming in for the rest of the month to talk about different programs, etc.
Yes. And also you can join the conversation and post comments, and if your comment is relevant enough for our producers,
they'll push it forward.
Otherwise it's like, we pray we get to connect with you.
God, that was so cold. So doing the work.
I think we have what I will say before we dive into that, I think that the chemistry and the relationship that like all of us, like we have, it's like that way we can joke like that. Okay, yeah. I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to say that because
maybe this is time to like thank. We have an incredible team of people.
We do.
Yeah, we belong to an incredible team.
Yeah, Jason and Jordan and our fabulous producer Steven. And we have that other person, but it's like I don't know if it's like
James. Is he here?
James, bless your heart.
Well, he did. He started off earlier. I'm gonna have some of these.
Yeah,
Skittles.
I saw him setting up things.
Not you calling people out. You're so messy.
I don't know. Was that messy?
No.
Okay. Yeah. I was just saying it's like I'm all, maybe what I'm doing is I'm saying it out loud so that you can correct me because, me making a judgment about how somebody's showing up I'm not correct. It's like he's doing the best that he can.
Girl, it's fine.
Okay. He's doing the work. He's doing the work.
I don't remember Skittles being this good.
Yeah, I know. Well, because yeah, exactly. So when you think about doing the work, what do you think about?
Well, I was thinking about this before we came in today. And okay. First thought is if you're able to wake up and attend to the barest of responsibilities, I feel like you're doing the work.
Absolutely.
Right. And I'm saying that just for myself, like as someone who has mental health stuff going on. Some days it's like, some days it's like hard to brush your teeth, some days it's like hard to get out of bed. So I think doing the work for me anyway starts there. Mm-hmm. Can you wake up and kind of attend to the things that, we need to attend to? You know what's funny? I have a friend who he's working on his sobriety, but he's not in a program or anything. But the reason why he's doing it is because he wants to have a baby. He and his wife have not been able to conceive. Mm-hmm. And so they did all of this stuff. And he stopped drinking. And what happens when we stop drinking? Our feelings, our thoughts, all that stuff starts to boil up. Uh-huh. And he was telling me that now that he's sober, he realizes how difficult it is to do kind of daily things. Uh-huh. And he was saying to me, he's like, Anthony, I feel like someone should be patting me on the back for paying my bills on time and like going to work and doing my work. And Alan was like, that's so funny because those are things that are basically expected of us.
It's like you don't get a cookie for.
I know, but I really do feel like that stuff is, at least for me, or other people I know in recovery, that's kind of a big deal. Like just being able to show up to life.
No, it is a big deal, but it's like, who's going to offer?
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It's not like we should be handing out participation trophies. I know that's essentially what you're saying, right?
Yeah. No, I didn't say any of that. It's like I'm not that cold.
Yeah, just walking around.
You know what it is? I think the way that it shows in who we surround ourselves with. Mm-hmm. You know, people who like make it a point to lift us, who lift us and understand. And I think that we are fortunate in 12-step because we have this kind of relationship with each other where we're super excited. Like folks clapping over 90 days and a year and things like that. So I don't know.
Do I have something in my nose? I feel like there's something in that.
A ring, like you have a nose ring.
But that's not that nostril.
No,
I felt like there's
it's really weird.
Well, I just feel like there's something in my nose. I can feel you on that
because it's like with the way my
I guess it was just like my mustache.
Grows.
Anyway, we have a comment. Sky writes, looking forward to chatting with you guys next week about recovery Dharma. Hi, Sky. Thank you for messaging. All right. And so I was just thinking about, well, that's a really interesting idea. Mm-hmm. Have you ever gone, are you familiar with like Dharma?
I am not. I know, isn't it Buddhist praxis?
I mean, they're like Buddhist-based principles.
Yeah. Sky invited us, like I told you, to participate, but the meeting happens at the time when I'm at work.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's like...
I've been a Dharma recovered before. So these are really good. I think I'm just really hungry. Am I hungry? So doing the work.
You always are hungry.
I'm doing it's just like it really is ASMR right now because I'm. Yeah, exactly. You can hear me like smacking around in my mouth. Doing the work. So there's showing up to life.
Uh-huh.
And then of course there is like if you're in a 12-step program, it's like working the steps. I think so. There's so many different ways of defining like what it means to be doing the work, right?
Well, I think there's a lot of pre-preparation in this idea of doing the work because, like, especially like for getting yourself ready to kind of be honest and intimate with other person, you got to kind of psych yourself out. For me, doing the work, like especially when I first start working with someone, is taking the time to kind of get to know each other and to build the rapport. So that you're ready when the time comes. When like initially, like okay, so the big book, the way it's broken up, I've heard there are sponsors who will say, "Go and read the first 164 pages and come back and talk to me." Mm-hmm. You know, to show that you're committed. Mm-hmm. I think that I can't judge somebody doing that, but I think that if had my first sponsor did that, I probably don't think I would have like been connected in a way.
That's real.
Like
that's real, yeah.
What I do is like you'll get some newcomers that come in and they're working the steps and they want to be on step 1 or they want to work the steps. And I always tell them, guess what? You're working the steps now. You're working the steps indirectly, informally, but taking your time reading the preface, reading all of the introductions or whatever, reading slowly, talking, connecting is what I found is. It serves a dual purpose.
Yeah.
Because you're learning about this stuff, but also you and I are having these moments
right.
where we're able to kind of stop. And for me, I had to learn they're not on your time. You're on it's their time, is their recovery. I mean, obviously it's my time. I'm showing up. But what I mean is like, I'm not going to rush through these readings.
Right.
If they want to stop and talk for an hour about something that they're uncertain about, then I have made it a point to be open about that so that, because I'm trying to get to a place where I want you to trust me. And most of us come in with that not being able to trust. So, yeah.
Just quick side note. I wish I could Uber eat Skittles from the front. From the cafe.
You know what? There's a way you can Uber eat Skittles. One of the people back there were...
No. Don't do that.
They're all, no, you divas.
Well, how funny would it be if I like called the cafe? But I was thinking about, interesting, right? Because what I got from what you were saying are like, there are levels of doing work, or rather there are levels, or there are parts of our life. They're doing the work. There are so many different ways that I think that shows up, right? but in my head, it seems kind of segmented, and at the same time, they're all related, right? So what does it look like to do the work within your personal relationships? What does it look like to work on your recovery? What does it look like to do the work at work, right? So there are all these different ways of looking at it. And then what else? The other thing that was occurring to me is kind of the spirituality of that, at least if we're talking about 12-step, for example. So there's no way. Who's watching it? Where is that, Michael? Someone just brought in Skittles. Oh, the purple one. Can I have the purple one? Who is that? Is that Brandon? Well, who was it? Hi, Brandon. Thank you, sweetheart. So I got some Skittles.
He Ubered eat.
Brandon, that was really sweet. Do you want some of these?
No, I'm good.
How funny would it be if I didn't let you have any of them after I just had so many of yours? So yeah, there's all these. There are all these ways that you can do the work. Also, spirituality. So I used to have this supervisor. We didn't get along very well, but we got along fine. He told me, I remember when I went in, these are so good. These Skittles are so good. It's wild berry Skittles. But he said to me, because I would go in and I would like talk about my mom. In clinical supervision, you're focusing on your patients. Uh-huh. I'd go in and I'd talk about my mom or like some stuff that's going on for me. And at one time I paused myself and I was like, this feels really inappropriate. I should be focused on client work, patient work. And he said, no. This is all related. This is all kind of affecting how you're showing up to work, the kind of things that like show up within the clinical relationship. I share that to say that I think when we're talking about like doing the work specifically in recovery, that it's all related, right? If you're going about conflict in a different way, that's related. Uh-huh. If you're taking care of yourself in ways that you haven't before, that's also related. If you are, one of my favorite things that my sponsor said to me, if the best prayer that you can come up with is help, then that's good enough.
Uh-huh. So what I'm hearing is like, I mean, I think that more than anything, I feel like, if we're perfectionists or if we struggle with, I don't know, I think grace is called for, or what is the best thing that, like you said, when we first started, it's like, if all I can do is wake up and shower.
Right.
And maybe take a walk around the block or whatever, then I'm doing the work. And so
Straight
you need
up,
to don't judge yourself so harshly if your work doesn't look a certain way. Mm-hmm. I mean, because there's some days where I am just super productive, like at work specifically. Like today was one of those days. I'm telling you, I got stuff done. I was a rock star. And there are other days where I'm downstairs on my phone. Hopefully my boss is not listening. And I'm just trying to get through the day.
Can I say that I'm living for these Skittles?
Oh, yeah.
But what I wanted to say is this idea that like doing the work has to turn into something being productive, which kind of reminds me of physics. It's like work is, oh my God, I don't even remember the definition, but work is like you're exerting force and something happens, right? And that if a person isn't productive, that productivity equals value, right? Absolutely. And I just don't know that that's true when we're talking about doing the work. And I guess it's important to say that when we talk about doing the work, we're talking about it within the frame of people who have, substance or process addictions.
Absolutely.
Were you going to say something?
No. I was thinking about like, okay, so like when you're applying for jobs or when you're going through that process or whatever, you're and this is third step stuff. You're sending out your resumes, you're doing everything, and there seems to be nothing's going on. It seems like it could seem like it's a waste of time. Mm-hmm. But really, what I've done a lot to try to encourage individuals who are going through whatever is like you're doing the legwork, you're putting things into place, and it's percolating. Mm-hmm. And you may not see what you need to see right now, but somewhere down the line, all of a sudden, all of your efforts, kind of like when you were applying for your programs or whatever. And then finally, I mean, it was the gift for you is that you knew kind of around the time when a decision would be made, but you had to do all that work, all that work, and there's faith that goes. There's a lot of that idea of faith that goes into that.
Can I also tell you that I love that you brought that up because I was thinking about this the other day. I could not have matched with a better placement.
Nice.
I could not. Right. I had ideas about things, but it could not have been more perfect.
Nice.
Right. The program, for example, I get to focus on addiction, dual diagnosis. They have a very strong addiction program in general. And I was thinking about my future work and I'm like, oh my God, this could not have happened more perfectly.
I love that.
Well, some of the skills are getting stuck in my teeth.
And it wasn't your first choice, huh?
It was top 3.
It was top 3, but it's it wasn't the one. I thought there was one that you really wanted. It's the one that I wanted.
Let me explain.
The one that I wanted was the one that was going to make sure that he didn't leave me.
No, they were all in the area.
I know, but no, but you applied for some that weren't.
I did. I applied to some in the
and
Northeast.
I was like, seriously? Are you? How do you want to tell me you hate me? No, I'm kidding. I'm making your
You know what's so funny?
Me.
Can I tell you what's really funny?
You can tell me anything, boo.
Well, the thing that you just said, you're like, it wasn't your first choice. We're not supposed to share that information.
Ooh. Ooh. Damn.
So let me just give
that you don't have to.
In the event that anyone listens to this, let me explain. So it was my second choice, only because I wanted to focus on doing projective assessments and a lot of more assessment heavy stuff.
I love the deeper I go in, the more I regret.
I'm just kind of
the more I regret because
if anyone listens to this, I need to explain.
Yeah. No. Okay.
And I wanted to be in a residential program. So
Nice.
that's why I was looking at working in a hospital, a state hospital specifically.
Absolutely.
And the only reason why the program that I'm in was second is because I wasn't guaranteed to have all of the clinical assessments that I wanted to do.
Okay.
Only difference.
No, okay, good. It's I think that this is this is a clear lesson and telling.
To be fair, I wasn't like, hey girl, don't tell anyone.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
All right, let's see that comment. Jaylon, oh my God, we haven't seen your name pop up in a long time.
Hi.
You want to read that?
I think what I have to remind myself of as far as doing the work and what that looks like for me is that it's not a race. For example, I have 2 sponsees. The first one has been on step 1 for months and just finished it and reached out to me to go over it. And the second one is on step 4.
I love that.
Yeah.
Jaylon, thank you for that.
And yeah, it's the outcome is not measured in the same way, as,
Well, what I'm having a hard time with is there is a very kind of material, physical, kind of of this world way that we measure work, right? Effort. And there is this other thing that I think is also, and maybe this is very touchy-feely, but I think about, for example, a person's spiritual life. Are they connecting with something that's bigger than themselves? Are they living for a purpose that's higher than themselves? Are they showing up to their relationships? Are they being a good person? And whatever, and I think the reason why that comes up for me is because as I get older, I noticed that when I was younger, I put so much stock in the things that made me look good, right? And as I get older, I'm realizing actually none of those things matter. And what is most fulfilling for me are relationships that are quality, healthy relationships.
Sounds like that piece in the 12 and 12, where we talk about true ambition. is not what we thought.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah,
exactly.
And also, Jaylon, I love that you brought up working with sponsees.
I know. I'm impressed. I love that.
Because one of the things, I am so sorry for y'all listening that I'm chewing, but
wait a minute.
This is what we're working with.
Most of, the people that know you on here that listen are used to you
You know what's crazy is that I didn't think I chewed or ate on screen so much. But whenever I happen upon an episode that we've been in, I'm like eating or chewing something.
We need it. We need, like, you know how they do that clip show where they just cut together.
Oh, right. Well, they do that.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go back to Jaylon.
Yeah.
So I love my sponsees. I'm obsessed with all of them.
I know. I tell them, I was explaining to a sponsee, it's like, because we have this intimate relationship. I love you guys. I fall in love with you each time. You know, and it's not. It's a platonic love that that's amazing.
Is to me. Every single one of them, I feel like I'm experiencing God. Like I feel like I'm experiencing something that is just so magical, and
I light up when I see them.
Yeah, I really do.
Yeah,
and there was one. I'll tell you right now. She was not easy to work with.
No.
She was not easy.
I got this from a former sponsor. Sponsor said, my favorite sponsor is always the one that's struggling the most. Yeah.
So doing the work.
You know what's interesting? Okay, so
what?
I've talked about it a lot on here, and it goes back to work. I had to change. I was having expectations for how other people were working. I was imposing my work ethic. And I don't want to say work, me saying my work ethic is just kind of judgmental, but I was imposing how I was working, how I was showing up, and what I believe to be the only way to do it onto them, and not giving credit where credit was necessary. You know, almost like that, getting the pat on the back. Like some people, what they do and how they're able to show up is different.
You know what this sounds like?
What's that?
It sounds like you're saying... It sounds like you're saying, I'm better than them. And I need to accept that I'm better than them.
No, I don't want that to be how it sounds. Unfortunately, that's probably how it is. But what was happening was I was in my head, I was thinking that my way was the only way. And that's destructive. That's counterproductive to like encouraging folks to work the best way they can. And I think that I still struggle, but when I'm really kind of in tune spiritually, I'm paying attention to what they bring, how they bring it, and encouraging them to do that. Because I've modified, like, I don't need this to happen yesterday. You know, right. I don't need this. When I talk to employees in my department, I usually encourage, you know what, work at your pace. You know what, this is something that can get done, but I mean, it's like, if we just focus in on that, I'm not asking you to, for me, it's like, I'm not asking you to just rush and get it done. And I also am learning to kind of, you know, sometimes you need to take a walk off the floor, take a moment, no pressure. I just have to work on not doing that silent scorn where it's like, instead of talking to you about what I'm frustrated with you about, I just treat you like shit without you knowing what it is. It's like, but that's a whole nother conversation. Beep, bop, bop, boop, 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 boop. Oh yeah, I know. It's like
we're gonna have our scat break.
I know. It's like that. It's like that in a black church. It's like, and then all of a sudden we're like having a worship session.
You said something really funny last week, but you were doing scat, but it sounded like real scat.
Beep bop ba da ba.
That's what it was. Beep bop ba da ba 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 beep boom. And that's our scat break.
I know exactly.
Oh my god, my alarm's going off. What's that about?
I don't know.
Go on, I'm listening.
Also, when I think about doing the work, with our family, I was thinking about that. For me, the relationships that I think are of value, that are important, I work on trying to release them to be who they are, to not impose my judgment, or because I think the gift for us of doing the work, the 4-step or whatever, you know how we were talking about, you do the work and then all of a sudden you start to see what's really, as opposed to what you assumed was.
What's real.
And so in focusing in on me and what I need to work on, it's almost like, and I think I shared this last week, or charity starts at home and spreads abroad. I'm working on me. I am facing the demons that I need to face. And as a result of doing that, I find that I'm more open to those relationships that I thought I closed off, that I'd shut down, that I'd given up any hope for.
Yeah. Is that it?
Yeah, that was
We
it.
have a comment. Let's see it. Jalen writes, I'm glad you said that, Louis, because that's how I approach this situation with the sponsee who's been on step 1 for months. I had to give him grace and encourage him to get it done when he can, and he did just that. And I told him I was proud that he even finished. Thank
Absolutely.
you, Jalen. I have a very similar approach too. And I thank my sponsor for this, where like my sponsor has never really pushed me. My sponsor's like, go, you want to do it? You do it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
You realize that it's like, Jaylon, you said it was not a race, but it's like this. It's like, it's like when you're done with the 12-step, you start over. So, also the thing that I've been able to pay attention to, especially with myself, is initially I thought I was procrastinating, putting stuff off, that I was being obstinate or whatever. And you know what? It's like, we are like opening up some wounds, some issues that we thought we probably never have to pay attention to, and they are causing us to feel a certain way, or they were causing me to feel a certain way. And the way I used to handle things that were uncomfortable, I would excuse myself. I didn't even know if I did. My friends would say, somehow we start talking about something serious and you always end up going to the bathroom. And I didn't know that. I was completely unaware. And it's the same with, all of a sudden I start writing down shit, even if it's stuff that I think that people did to me or did at me or whatever, and it starts to kind of get me. Like last night at the meeting, I think I shared this with you. The person who shared, he was talking about the violence with his parents, and other people have talked about it before, but it was the way he talked about how, when they're yelling, when there's the yelling or whatever, and then all of a sudden there's the silence. And in that moment, I was like, what? Like my heart started beating and I felt intense, and I wasn't going to raise my hand, but I raised my hand, and I didn't get to share, but that's okay because I made sure to stay after and talk to someone, because I was like, oh, you know what? I have some unresolved stuff around that, and my father's a long way from that. But even if someone's changed and grown and gotten better or whatever, it's like, it's for me, it's my stuff I still have to work on, because I
love that you brought that up, because I had a very similar reaction. There was a lot of violence growing up, a lot of DV, intimate partner violence, domestic violence. And okay, there are a few things here. So there was a lot of that growing up, and it impacted me in ways that I could not have anticipated. Okay. 1, 2. I think a lot about like the experiences, my experience, like I know my body, I'm in my body, I live my life, and what having my history, like the effect or the impact that my history has had on like my worldview and changes I've made. And, we hear a lot like comparison is the killer of joy. And I often have to bring myself back to this idea of like, it doesn't matter what other people's experiences are, to the extent that my doing the work is coming face to face with the things that come up for me or the experiences that I have and arriving at them gently. That is to say, not fighting them. Right. And so much of doing the work sometimes is about like not doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Or unlearning. Right. So it's like, maybe I'm not like vengefully not showing up to work, or maybe I'm not, engaging in like this particular behavior that's harmful to me. Right. And I wonder too about like how, you remember during COVID, a lot of us were doing like Zoom meetings across the country, and well, not even across the country, but like all around the world.
There was some like hardcore. I would sign into, but this Zoom meeting in France.
There was a lot of that, or like Australia.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I loved about that experience is that I was like, oh, addicts and alcoholics sound the same in Australia as they do in the US, as they do in Europe or anywhere in Africa. Like literally, we all sounded the same. We all had the same fucking issues.
You had the same people,
same reactions.
We had the same group of people that would just they'd raise their hand or they to share with like again.
It was just wild. I was like, oh wow, maybe there is something unique about someone.
Can I just say there was something really special about like in the beginning, the whole Zoom thing in the beginning, because like for us, we one of the rooms that I went into is the California Coastal through CMA, and the groups of folks that organized that, it's almost like one day they didn't know it was happening, and the next day they rallied around, got it together, and it was a safe situation because there was a lot of Zoom bombing and whatever.
Oh wow!
But what was nice is I got to see on a regular basis, daily at 8:00, folks from all over California and elsewhere that I would only normally get to see like once or twice a year. And so it was normalized that we would see each other. Hey girl, how's it going? And we'd have our chats and all that stuff. And it was just so nice. And I mean, what I love about that is like Zoom is still a possibility, but it's like I prefer to be in person.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. And yeah, I guess I have nothing more to contribute to the idea of like just talking about COVID.
Yeah, exactly. I think that also it should be noted, if you're not ready to do the work, if there's a roadblock, that's okay too. I mean, it's like, I feel like, they say don't leave before the miracle happens or whatever, but it's like, I feel like there's this queue of things that I have to face, and it comes up when I'm ready to face it. Like it's almost as if shit around the planets align, and all of a sudden it's time for me to talk about it. And maybe the situation with the unresolved issues around violence, domestic violence or whatever in my family, and the violence in my family, it might be that it's time, because I always think, the discomfort that I'm feeling is me kind of being constricted. Like it, growth is needs to happen. There needs to be some growth, some change. Do
you envy people? Or maybe the better question is, what's your relationship, or what are the thoughts that you have on people who seem to like not really care? Right. So people who are kind of selfish, self-centered, and egotistical. Okay.
Well, there's. I know, kind of know what you're saying.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
There are folks that have a serenity up to them, but they're also the ones that, in my mind, seem to not care. And I feel like, to be fair, I don't know about you, but I think that is judgment on my part, because I don't know what's going on with them. They're presenting a certain way because that's probably how they've been, how they've managed.
That's fair.
But maybe they're falling apart behind the scenes. Because I used to always say, the more polished gay boys look or whatever, the more shit they've got going on behind the scenes. And so if it seems like it's somebody who kind of doesn't care, I usually steer clear.
Yeah.
I usually steer clear because it's like, I care. Like I don't want somebody. The worst would be like if I'm passionate about something, or if I'm frustrated about something, or whatever, and somebody says, "Hey, don't take," or they try to, you know what I'm getting at? It's like, it's like it's one of those things where it's like there's a situation that, like, okay, I had this roommate. I called her the queen of gaslighting.
Okay.
She would bring something to me. It would be something that's happening around the house. But then she would say, but it's not really a problem, not really a problem. I'm all, well, you brought it to me. It's a problem.
Right.
If it weren't a problem, you wouldn't talk about it. And so she didn't like that because it's like, I care. I'm in this relationship, and, we knew each other a really long time, but we didn't really know each other. And so it was like we were learning. And for me, it's like, if you bring it to me, we're going to talk about it.
Right.
Or we're going to put it on hold and talk about it later, but we're going to talk about it at some point because apparently it's an issue. Because if you just try to sweep it under the rug, you just wasted my time, my energy saying, it's not a problem, but it is. That's gaslighting. You're trying to rent space in my head, and I don't have any room up there, okay? I have room for you. It's like my father used to say, if you're going to allow somebody to rent space, charge them rent. And charge them full-on rent. And this is some expensive property.
So it's 5:41. We need to land a plane.
Yeah, let's land this plane.
Let's land the plane.
The Castro Country Club is a safe and sober community center for all people and a refuge for the LGBTQ recovery community. I have a Skittle in my mouth.
We provide programs and services that help people change their lives by supporting personal growth.
Our vision is to reduce the suffering of addiction by connecting people to community and opportunity and support.
You can find more information, including all the ways to contact us, at www.castrocountryclub.org/podcast.
And tune in every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time when we go live on our Castro Country Club Facebook and YouTube channels.
Find us wherever you listen to podcasts.
Absolutely.
Jordan, you just put something up that's old.
Yeah, it's like it's those banners. We don't
use that banner. Yeah, it's okay.
So,
we're not.
How do you feel about the conversation? I feel like we probably I don't know. This is a perfect opportunity to self-correct.
What
is it? Did you feel like the conversation was kind of dry?
A little bit.
Yeah, it's like how do we improve that?
Well, I don't know that it needs to be improved.
You don't like talking.
No, that's not what it is. I think it was just dry because what comes to mind is that we're talking about a thing that is undefined.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're kind of trying to point at the thing, right? And that's probably, that's what comes up for me.
Are there areas that we could, how sometimes we say, well, let's talk about this, or whatever. Like as we move forward with the conversation with other people involved, maybe focusing in on the spiritual side of it.
I don't even know. I don't even know. I think maybe at least one of the things I notice is that we're really kind of sticking to topic and we didn't go off topic a lot, and which is where normally we have a lot of fun when we do
I know,
that.
exactly.
But we didn't really do that today. And I wonder why that is. And I think the reason why that is because I think we were both, at least I'll speak for myself, we're both grappling with oh shit, what is doing the work?
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
And I think that's probably why. I think we were both kind of more in our heads, trying to.
Exactly. Cause it's whatever doing the work is. For me, it's I define it for myself. And if I'm completely uncertain, it's I love that we had Jaylon chime in, and
I love Jaylon.
I know, I love Jaylon too.
But yeah, I think that's it. I think that, everyone talks about doing the work. And what I'm realizing is wait, what are we actually talking about?
I know, exactly. It's sometimes it's just a bunch of hot air.
Yeah, doing the work. It's just one of those abstract things. And I think part of that is because I think when people talk about doing the work, they're talking about doing step work. But, I think at least what we've realized, at least in this conversation, is that actually it's multifaceted. There's so many
absolutely.
ways of.
I include in my gratitude list, and it's important. Kindness, awareness, humility, and forgiveness. And those are like the things that kind of, they're like my building blocks to get me where I need to go. You know who is doing the work? Steven. He looks so serious back there.
What's Steven doing? Steven's doing the work?
No, he's like, he's all G'ing up the drive. Oh my God, Jordan, you did such an amazing job today.
Great job today.
Thank you. I think my 2 cents on
Please do. It's like, topic. And you should, you have the mic there to chime in.
Yeah, you can always say something.
Gotcha. I think it's a more serious topic because this is what we do every day, right? And so I think we have to take it serious, because if I don't take it serious, then that ruins my life, right? Like I go out and use, right? If I don't take this as serious as I need to.
You know, the other thing, thank you for that, because you're making me think about how there is one. It's serious when we're talking about like doing the work, and I think for me, it's also like, I also don't want to define what that is. You know, I don't want to put, because that's just has never been useful for me. It's like, I need breathing room. I need there to be flexibility. I need there to be like, for things to be kind of generous and flexible.
It's a loose fitting garment. I love.
Yeah. Where your recovery has a loose fitting garment.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I think it's like similar people go to the gym and do different things.
Oh yeah.
Right. So like the way that you work out the same muscle that I do is going to look different, sound different. So I think it's okay to define how you do the work, right, from an I perspective, right, and also encourage other folks to define it for themselves, right. For me, right, like doing the work is actionable steps, not just lip service,
right?
As an example.
You just reminded me, there was something I wanted to say earlier, is that it's interesting because I wonder sometimes if like the way we conceive of 12-step or recovery in general on the West Coast, if it is like different than it's done on the East Coast. Like, sure, we all sound the same, but there are different kind of personalities or like different takes on it, right? And you know, like there's like, for example, we're talking about something that's like very flexible, but I've heard of people being like, you know, something 12-step being very stringent and like
culturally
really intense. Right. And in the Northeast, it was very that.
Yeah. Cause we're really fortunate that there's a lot of kind of cross pollination with the programs or whatever.
Right.
Like there's a lot of, and there have been places, especially probably on the East Coast, where when they say singleness of purpose, when they're talking about if you don't do,
that's right.
We don't talk about anything else.
That's right.
So,
Yep. Yeah. You're absolutely right. Where like people will get like shut down at a meeting. And when I was staying living in Mississippi a summer, it was a very like 12-step was very Christian.
I fucking love like every episode I learned something new about you.
Oh, you didn't know I lived in Mississippi for a summer?
No.
Yeah, I was in Mississippi for a summer and I loved it. I loved Mississippi. I was in Oxford, and it was just great.
What'd you love about it?
The people are just really amazing. I love Southern folks.
That's super fascinating. It's like if you're not exposed to kind of like the way people are viewing San Francisco.
Yeah.
And now they're getting a message and they're getting their ideas from folks who are poor, who obviously have like a motive, who have
Louis,
an agenda.
100%. When I went to Mississippi, I was like, oh, I don't know about Mississippi. And, you know, and it isn't without its issues, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There was certainly racism. There was certainly homophobia. But the people, like by and large, overwhelmingly were just just wonderful people.
Yeah.
And experiencing gay culture in Mississippi was also very interesting to me. You know, people just kind of like showed up differently. It was a very different vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
Very, very different vibe. I for a second I was like, oh, could I live here? You know, could I live in Mississippi?
It's dangerous thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. You know,
it's like when you go on a vacation somewhere and you're like,
and you want to move
there, and you move there, and it's like, this ain't what I signed up for.
It's crazy. When I was in Mississippi, I was dating this guy while I was there.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course you were. Of course.
I was dating.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. He was great. But he was. Oh man. So. It was the first time that I've ever dated like a Southern guy. And he one day, like, I don't know what he thought my reaction was going to be, but he came in and he was like, there was a protest on campus. It's because I was a guest scholar at the University of Mississippi. He was like, there was a protest on campus and they were saying Black Lives Matter. So I grabbed their bullhorn and I said, all lives matter. And I looked at him and I was like, oh my God, who am I here with? You know what I mean? Yeah. And at some point he like showed me like the guns that like he and his father had collected. He also like, they're from Louisiana, but like his dad had a home in Mississippi. And so anyway, there were like all these guns and like his opinions were like really wild. And
that's a topic. That's a topic.
Yeah, that was really
friendships and relationships with folks who don't think the way you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you navigate
that? That was a very interesting time. Very interesting time.
Yeah, there was a time where it was easy. It was probably at the time you were there, it was easier to be a little more flexible. And where I'm at now with it is like, I've gotten better. But
you mean like because our politics are so off?
I've gotten better, but after the last election when Trump was elected and all that stuff, I shut down on people who thought different. I was like, fuck you, I don't want to. And I realized, okay, you know what? I like diversity. I like for people to be able to think what they think, but it's kind of like, when you're friends with somebody who has behavior doesn't sit well with you, and then you question I have to question me. It's like your behavior. It's like I know it's about you or whatever, but if I'm being friends with you, or if I'm okay with, unconsciously,
am I co-signing?
I might be co-signing, and I have to be careful because. I'm trying to be a person with integrity, and a person with integrity, that means that my actions, my behavior, like who I surround myself with, is a reflection of who I am, who I want to become, it's all good.
Yeah. And you're making me think about like, well, his name was Andrew. Why did I like continue like dating him and talking to him? And I think in the end it was because like, one, I was like, I liked his company when I was there. We had a lot of fun. And sorry, Jordan is
said donut hole.
Yeah, Jordan is making very lewd gestures behind the camera, but we had a lot. You've
also been on a journey. You've been on a journey what
I still place, like. So I also low key thought like,
change him.
No, I thought like, okay, the lights are on, but no one's home. What I mean? Like, so sometimes I felt that way about him.
It's that Virgo thing we do. It's like, I'm better than him.
No,
I'm better than I'm doing community service.
Well, what I'm trying to say here is that, I liked his company. It was just nice.
It was the best Mississippi had to offer, huh?
No, there were. Oh no.
Please forgive me, anybody who's from Mississippi listening.
I will say this much. There was like meeting a lot of like gay people in the South. It was a very different experience. It was there was more of an emphasis on like community and relationship, and there was also like a Southern hospitality. Like think about that, but like existing among gay folks, which was very interesting.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I had a really good time. I
love that. I love it.
And
I love how like I feel like in the conversation like liven up. Like I like our conversation.
Really, you mean right now?
Yeah, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, because we're not sitting here trying to like figure out like this philosophical question.
I know, and yeah, so it's good. It's like we need to get all heavy and deeper. But
you never know. Like you never know what's going to happen when you talk about something.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? Okay, I'll tell you about a thing.
Please do.
So, my arms hurt. So I went to. My triceps hurt really bad.
What'd you do?
Well, I went to CrossFit on Monday, and we did.
Don't you hate like you do all that?
Like I don't think I've ever worked my triceps that hard in my life, but like I can't fold my arms toward me, so like I'm like going like this.
Oh wow.
What was I going to tell you? Oh, so So Benji and I, we decided that we were gonna like preemptively do couples counseling.
Okay. This is what's happening when two therapists are dating. Is that let's do couples therapy? It's a good idea.
Well, I mean, as two people in recovery who both have like trauma in our backgrounds, like we need help. We all need help.
We should do couples therapy.
We should, Louis.
Yeah, exactly.
We should.
I charge by the hour. I charge by the hour.
Okay.
We should just break up.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay, yeah. It's like, but he could charge him peanuts. Like, it's like he didn't tell us how he charged
Skittles.
It's like exactly. It's like we just.
Yeah, you know, and I've never been crazy about Skittles. I think I just my sugar might be low or something. I don't know.
my sugar's low.
So you know, I'm a therapist. I believe in like mental health treatment, and I went into it a little skeptical because I'm like, I don't understand. I mean, okay, I didn't say I don't understand how this is going to help us, but I just wasn't sure like what shifts would be made. But I remained open, right? Uh-huh. Like I believe, and so I gave it a shot, and within 5 minutes, I'm like sobbing.
Oh,
5 minutes,
this little bitch.
Just 5 minutes, I was sobbing. It was like, I don't. Well, you like sometimes you don't know what's like weighing on your heart until.
So it is helping doing the therapy with.
So that was our first session, and we both. At the end, like we called each other because we did it virtually, and we were both very excited. We were like, "Oh my God, that was amazing!" Like, in such a short amount of time, we like learned a great deal about our relationship and each other, and it was fantastic. It was really, really great.
You know, most people just go to fucking movies or have a soda like and hang out.
Listen, I think whenever
we're gonna double date to the fucking therapist. I can't get over. I'm such a fucking sailor. I'm like cursing like.
Well, it's so funny because I'm like holding back, and I'm like, "Ooh, that would have been a really good joke." But so I think that when you bring finance and romance, right? We talk about like relapses, like finance and romance take people out, right? I think when you bring two people together, have I talked about this already? So people enter relationships with the best of intentions.
Oh, of course.
Right? You meet someone, you're attracted to them, it feels good, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm borrowing this idea. I forget who said this. It was from another podcast that I listened to, but one of the things she said, Gina Fisher. So she says, you know, we have the best of intentions going into relationships, and we forget that we also bring our trauma.
Yeah.
And trauma with a capital T. And so, you know, trauma manifests in a multitude of ways.
Mm-hmm. I was like,
no, I know. I was like, bitch, do you really just pick up your phone again and talking? I'm like looking right at you. And, you know, so it shows up in all of these different ways, and you bring two people together, and there are ways that like you might want to blame your partner for the things that are happening, or, you know, feelings come up or something like that. And oftentimes, at least in my experience, is that there's something else happening and you don't quite have the language, and the conflict is symptomatic of that. Uh-huh. You know, so I recommend. I think I recommend couples counseling for anyone in a relationship.
So we made it to the end.
We did make it to the end.
If you were with us in our podcast exclusive, we love you.
Yeah, as usual. If you've listened to the end, thank you so much. If you're new to us, thank you and join us again. And if you're a longtime listener, you know, just keep doing what you're doing. We love it. And I think that's it.